Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Terra Prime Live. Darth Anonymous coming to you from Terra Prime headquarters. We are here for our holiday special discussion type of thing. It's the holiday season, so we are kind of just. I know everybody's out there kind of enjoying virtual Thanksgiving and doing their holiday stuff here in the United States at least. So we hope to go in there. Joining me today is Deso and Anna from from Gulf Coast down in the Panhandle of Florida. How you guys doing?
Doing well.
Doing great.
Just living the dream.
Yeah, right. I mean, the dream of being in Florida, which I used to live there, but far more deep into Florida man country, down in southwestern Florida. Anyway, so here we are. How was your Thanksgiving, you two?
It's actually really good. We got to spend quality time together since no one else is coming over. But
we did a Star Wars themed Thanksgiving where we cooked dishes out of the Galaxy Edge cookbook and kept it a Star Wars theme all day. It was a lot of fun.
Cool. What's in the Star Wars cookbook?
It's a list of just varying recipes. So you got breads, different types of breads, soups, main dishes. The main dishes that we cooked included a shack roast, which is it's a pot roast, and then it's garnished with shredded carrots, and all of that's put over some sauteed mushrooms and pearl onions on top of shells pasta, and it's really good. It's a lot of dishes with new names is what it is, and I recommend it. If you like cooking, that's definitely one to go with.
Yeah. Have you guys have not yet been to Galaxy's Edge, have you?
No,
Not yet.
I've never been to Disney.
Yeah, so I got to go. We went right before everything kind of closed down.
Yeah.
So we went, and I think it was like end of February, right? They had already kind of instituted a lot of the a lot of the safety measures, not the social distancing, but they had hand sanitizer everywhere, and all this other stuff. So it was the
like a precursor.
Pandemic, yeah, the pandemic was kind of creeping in at the edges and everything like that. Looking back on it now, of course, it's horrifying to think that we are all packed in.
How close?
Because oh my God, I'm a big fan of Hollywood Studios. That's my favorite park there, and usually there's not that much happening there before. Right. They didn't have that many kids rides. They didn't, whatever. So it was a little bit less. Now, oh my God, it's worse than the Magic Kingdom. It is so crowded. Well, no, not right now. Now they have all this stuff. And, there's a part of me that is like, ooh, I'd like to go experience, Disney like that, where people are staying away from you and everybody's wearing a mask, Like I would kind of like to do that. The problem is I have to go through Florida, and that doesn't seem to be. I don't know. It seems to be risky these days. But
you never know what you'll get.
Yeah, but so anyway, yes. The food at Galaxy's Edge. I know they started by only having it like Star Wars named. So they just replaced all ingredients with Star Wars names and all this other stuff, and people freaked out. They didn't know what it was and everything like that. And so like the waiters and waitresses were having it. It's just mushrooms. It's
Mhm.
It's not really from space. It's, you know, and so they like started they I guess the ingredients now are in conventional, you know, tomatoes and mushrooms and all that kind of thing. So um but did you have any of the blue, did you make the blue milk? Do they have recipes for blue
No,
milk
we
in there?
didn't end up doing that. Instead, there's a dish that has blue pasta, so we did that instead. Um, we aren't a huge family of milk drinkers, so we felt that that would kind of be a waste. They did have a couple. Do they have some drink recipes in there?
They've got a few
We
drink
just
recipes.
didn't do any of them this time.
Both like just drinks and then adult beverages as well, with you know, some bartender action that should
Yeah.
take place. I don't think blue milk's actually in there as one of the requests.
And that would be simple: milk, blue food dye.
Yeah,
Well,
Unless you want to get it from the source like Luke did.
that's no. That's,
well, so blue and green milk at Galaxy's Edge are actual things, right? They are
Wow.
specific drinks. They're kind of like you can get them virgin or adult, all right? They are kind of like when they've got the alcohol in it, the blue milk is sort of like a pina colada, and the green milk is, what was it? I don't remember. I don't remember what type of alcohol it was. I think it was rum and tequila. No,
Okay.
not both. It was like either rum or tequila.
Oh,
Like
okay.
the you know the I believe the rum was in the blue milk, and then tequila was in the green.
That would make sense.
But then when you get them without, they're just like a slushy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I wonder
So they probably are wanting to keep those like as a thing at the park, you know, I would imagine. But
Well, I know like you have the recipe for the Harry Potter drink that people have made their own versions of it. I wonder if we could find that online and kind of experiment with it at home. Make
I'm
some
sure there
blue
is.
milk.
honestly, I'll tell you, just get some pina colada mix and some blue dye. Honestly, that's what that's exactly what it tastes like. They're very good, but there you go.
Never actually had a pina colada.
Really?
Yeah, but it'll be something to try. Thank you for telling us. Now
You
we're
like
gonna look
coconut?
into it.
I like coconut and pineapple, not so much.
Mhm. Yeah, she might want to stay
I would
away
give-
from pina colada then.
Would it be, if the other one was tequila? Would that one be the margarita? Like a
Maybe.
margarita?
Yeah,
Like
maybe. Yeah, maybe it was a frozen margarita. I didn't have that one. Maria had that one.
Okay,
So I'll ask her.
Okay.
she might be great.
Don't drink blue milk or green milk, and then practice sabering.
No.
Practice sabering.
Safety first, kids.
Well, you can get them without. You can get the safe version, right? And the interesting thing in the park, the way they designate it is they give you either a round or a square glass. With yeah, kind of neat.
Is that to take home? Like a round or square glass to take home?
I mean, they're plastic. You could take it home. I don't know why you would, but you could probably buy a better one at the gift shop or something. But yes, so I know you guys are down there. You should guys figure out. It's an experience, that's for sure.
As soon as this all clears up, I think that's something we're kind of wanting to do
It's
is
on the list.
as a group is go and see it.
Yes. Well, you know, hopefully in the coming year we'll be able to do some TPLA events, and that's definitely top on the list of somehow getting some package together where we can get members to come down and join us, and we can all go to Batu. But so anyway, so there we go. Galaxy's Edge cookbook, that sounds fun. I know in the new holiday special, what did they call the turkey? Like a tip yip or something like that?
I know she was watching a how-to on how to cook bantha meat,
Oh,
wasn't
yeah,
it?
that was in the original.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We haven't seen the new one, the Lego one yet. That's on the list for later this evening. But In
I
the
need to grab my
original,
charger.
yeah, if you can grab the book, it's on the show. But in the original, they had the cooking show, and you got the guy
Yeah.
who's doing everything, and then he's got somebody reaching from behind him, and being the Star Wars nerd I am, I'm like, oh, that's that race. Okay, that makes sense. That explains why they're cooking that. Go right ahead. And this was the first time we had seen it as a family, not just with the kids, but for me as well. I'm not going to say it was good because I can't in good conscience say it was a good show.
Mhm.
I appreciated parts of it.
The original
The
holiday special.
original holiday special. I appreciated parts of it. The animated sequence, fantastic.
Yes.
I loved it as its own thing. If you could break it up into episodes, it might even be worth watching. Just all at once is a 2.5 hour endeavor to watch an hour and a half worth of show.
Oh, it is a slog.
Yeah.
To try to get through that thing from one end to the other, it's like time slows down. It is quite a thing.
We MST3K'd it. We just treated it like Mystery Science Theater, and we didn't try to take it seriously and just let everybody pick on it just so we could get through it.
Oh yeah, even then it's tough. It's tough. But we usually post it every Life Day.
Every Life Day.
So, which is on its original air date, not Christmas. I don't like doubling up on the holidays for my Star Wars holidays. That's why it's always May the 4th be with you, Cinco de Mayo. Can't skip Cinco de Mayo, and then it's Revenge of the 6th. It works better anyway, thematically. Anyway, so there you go. So that's, I guess, as we are going through all of this stuff, we have obviously the pandemic, which has put a lot of plans and things on hold for the time being. But there is plenty to be thankful for, especially if you're a Star Wars fan. Obviously, probably the thing that most people are the most thankful for right now is The Mandalorian. We of course talked about it last week.
Yeah.
So we won't get into spoilers or anything like that, because now there's a lot more spoilers to go through. Obviously, I don't think it's a spoiler to say that that Ahsoka finally shows up. So we finally have that. We won't reveal what else is in the episode, but it goes into the overall theme, because Rosario Dawson playing Ahsoka Tano has been a fan wish for quite some time. As far back as I can remember, Ahsoka having a fan base, because at first people hated her. Like when she first showed up in the Clone Wars, people did not like Ahsoka, because I think it was because she was one of those characters that is introduced into a TV show that's based on some sort of movie, that then that character then becomes the kind of linchpin for that. It's an old TV trope, right? That of course didn't necessarily happen. Ahsoka got her own arc, right? And that is obviously continuing in some pretty specific and big ways, right? Because we're not, we had her, so we leave the Clone Wars. We've left the Clone Wars a couple of times, right? It's been canceled, and then they make a new one, like a new season. Now this last season, I know, is
it's done now.
Yeah, yeah. Anybody that hasn't seen that yet and is watching this is, well, it's your own fault. That's been out for quite some time. But yeah, so like we had a little bit of an extra added story to Ahsoka with the Clone Wars ending, which of course everybody loved. I mean, 2020 is probably Ahsoka's year. Unfortunately. I mean, of all the years you could have, 2020.
Wow. Yeah,
we need a hero.
We need a hero for this year for sure.
Yeah.
But even then, I mean, with her run through Clone Wars, even with the final season of Clone Wars and her being the pivotal character in that whole story arc, her return in Rebels was not an unwelcome addition to it. Having, being the only person in my household who's watched both Rebels and Clone Wars, seeing her reveal for The Mandalorian was not a letdown at all.
And I can talk from the end of, as someone who, I'm not a fan of the animated stuff. I couldn't sit through it. Her reveal in the show was still enjoyable for me too. I enjoyed seeing her. I knew who she was, and it wasn't okay, yeah, we get it, she's from that show. It was still like, ooh, this is awesome. And it actually makes me interested in going back and seeing it, what everyone's talking about, instead of feeling like it's being shoved in your face. Did you see? We put this fan favorite in there. It's well executed once again. And I like how they're doing that you can come in without being a huge fan of everything Star Wars, and you can still enjoy what they're putting out there. You don't need to know who all these characters are for you to be able to get what's happening. And I like that.
There's enough shout out, there's enough callback for longtime fans to be squealing with joy. And then
without spoilers,
there's enough for newcomers to go, okay, somebody tell me what's going on, because I really need to know right now.
Well, I think that's the thing. With The Mandalorian, you've got the cardinal sin of putting fan service in, if you want to call it that, is that it's an in joke, right? And you can't base something on an in joke, right? Because that's for a very, very select audience. The way The Mandalorian does it is they have all of these, Easter eggs, all of these little connections back and forth. None of them, like you said, you don't need to know anything about Star Wars. If you're coming into this carte blanche, right? And you just go on the information that they've given in the Mandalorian series, right? Just that information. You have nothing else. You've never seen a movie. You've never seen, anything like that. Just the information within the Mandalorian series. All of it works. None of it is pulled out of the ether, right? If something is pulled out of the ether, like Ahsoka, like Bo-Katan, these things, they're treated as almost like a mystery, right? So it's like, oh, who is this, right? And to the people who know, they're going, huh? Who is this? So it never gives it away. If you're seeing it for the first time, you can enjoy their appearance and trying to figure out who they are. You don't have to rely on a fan to tell you, although we will at length.
Yeah,
but that is never a problem. If you ever have a problem, just ask. We will go on and go on. But you don't need to. You can watch this kind of pure, right? And everything is internally consistent, which is a very, very difficult line to walk. But I think there's a lot of people who are going to be being introduced to Ahsoka and Bo-Katan through the Mandalorian, so they're going to know them as live action, people,
Right.
and then they'll see the animated.
Yeah.
So let's see.
We're seeing some diversity in the types of characters they're showing, but we're still starting to see like strong female characters come in. We're seeing just how diverse the Star Wars universe is. And this is an opportunity for a fan base that is known for being so toxic to come together and start talking about the fandom in a positive way again. And you're always going to have that negative element to it. But more and more, I see that being drowned out with positive conversation. And that makes me happy. That's something to be grateful for in 2020 is a more positive light in the discussion rather than just that rabid, ungrateful fan base. When it should be something positive. There's something for everyone. So
on that subject that you brought up, strong female characters, strong characters in general.
yeah,
There's not a moment in The Mandalorian where there's been somebody who's completely made inept. If they are a fighter, if they're any kind of whatever their strength is, they don't suddenly lose that ability, and the Mandalorian steps in and takes over. That's not how that works. He has his skill set. These other characters have theirs, and their respective strengths still play off of each other.
It's not the Dragon Ball crew.
Right.
They're all useful.
The savior syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The Mandalorian is not. I mean, it would not lend itself to that type of trope anyway, because we're talking about. we're talking. We are really in the underbelly of Star Wars in the Mandalorian, right? Mm-hmm. It's the scum and villainy who are making up most of our cast now. Even the Mando, he may have honor and stuff like that, but even among Mandalorians, he's a religious zealot.
He's a cult member, yeah.
So it's like we are not, the you're not gonna see that thing, and I think it's brilliant that they went that way. There's a couple of things that I think are going to be happening pretty soon. Pretty specific things. I'm not going to go into them, but we can go into them off the air or whatever if people have seen it. But not because of something's happened, because I kind of know the source material that they're drawing from, and there are some things that seem to be coming up. But the other thing about it is it's not a character driven story, right? So your characters can be drawn with a pretty broad brush, right? Which is good, right? It makes it you can use archetypes and things pretty freely. But we all talk about the characters, yeah, I don't know. Are the female characters in The Mandalorian better than other female Star Wars characters? Not really. If you go back through all of the stuff, the materials rife from all the way back, going from Princess Leia all the way forward. The traditional kind of damsel in distress doesn't appear much, unless you count C-3PO. But
you never really saw the lone female character like what you saw in this episode standing alone and strong. I think it's the fact we're seeing more of it represented on screen instead of in printed media like comics or books. Because I have, where I first was introduced to Asajj Ventress was the comics, and that's where I fell in love with her. My first favorite character was Mara Jade because my mom would read me the novels, and that's where I fell in love with her. Female characters have always been there, loud and proud, but actually seeing it on screen hits different.
Actually having them in the mainstream
Yeah.
version of the media. For everybody.
Well, yeah. You should watch the Clone Wars. You should watch the animated stuff because
I'll
you know-
try.
I'll watch it again. I don't mind.
Oh, I watch it a lot. I've gone through the whole series. I mean, for me, the Clone Wars almost it got me interested in Star Wars again, for one thing. The prequels kind of lost me, but the Clone Wars does brilliant stuff with loose threads, things that don't necessarily make sense. All of this great retconning that we're seeing now, where you're taking things that were done in the original movies because, well, production value and all that kind of stuff. Oops, that guy's carrying an ice cream maker. Right. Well, now it's a thing. It's a Camtono. Do you guys know where the Camtono word came from?
No.
Oh my God. Let me see if I can't bring this thing up.
Hello there, guys. Ahsoka Tano has.
Oh, hey.
So I will call myself out when it comes to the animated stuff. On discussing it with other people is what made me realize that I had fallen into being a toxic fan. I did not like it. I was adamant it wasn't needed. It was just there so they could make a profit. And then I heard somebody else discuss how it's bringing in a new generation, how much it's getting people interested in Star Wars again, like you said. And it really hit home. I was dressed as a Twi'lek smuggler, and this little kid came running up to me at this event, and she was squealing because she knew what I was. And it was in that moment I realized that even if it's not my cup of tea, it is important to the franchise. It's important as a storytelling element because there's so much more to tell. And that made me kind of realize my own flaws. So I do appreciate it for that, on that stop trying to act like you own the fandom and allow it to grow. And it's an important thing to be honest about. So I do appreciate the shows for that.
Because of Hera from Rebels.
Exactly. Helping me get over myself.
Well, yeah, but you really owe. I think anybody, especially any Star Wars fan, really owes it to themselves to get to sit through, some of the Clone Wars things. I mean, if you take in the entire series or not, whatever. But
I have tried to sit through it.
There some of the best moments in all of Star Wars are in Clone Wars, right? And Dave Filoni pretty much pioneered everything that he's doing with in the Mandalorian and in the other things that he does in Clone Wars. So all of the samurai stuff or whatever, he's bringing in the first depictions of the first Jedi 7 samurai storylines were in.
I remember that one.
Clone Wars. The Clone Wars itself, we've talked about how Mandalorian is not a character-driven piece. It's it's event-driven. You're on a quest or whatever. Clone Wars is actually character-driven. Because the whole thing is just this war that's going on. So there's just constantly things. And then the timeline's a little broken up so that they can keep storylines together, but they keep intersecting and all of that. And it really built up a lot of the stuff that all of this stuff is the Mandalorian is sitting on top of, right? Oh, and if it the clone, because obviously it's Dave Filoni, right? The Clone Wars Easter eggs are everywhere. I mean, everything is just littered with them. They're like, you're like, oh, there's that. Oh, there's that. Oh, there's that. You know. Anyway, I'm gonna try to see if I can't share screen here. Anyway, if you want to know where the word Camtono comes from, just look up Camtono on YouTube, and you will see here. I'll post a link to it here in the things. I can't figure out exactly how to. I'll try to share my screen here again, but I don't know if this is going to work. Oh, never mind. I don't have that feature enabled, so it's not going to work. Anyway, here, I'll just put it here in the chat. You can see it. There is it's a little baby, and her father is trying to get her to say ice cream. And instead of the word ice cream, she's saying Camtono for some unknown reason. Right.
Love?
Love.
Ice cream.
Camtono.
Oh.
You could probably hear it.
Want?
we can hear.
No.
Yeah, so that's where the word comes from. It's from 2017. Little girl looks about a year old, so I'm thinking she's 4 now. But at some point, this little girl is gonna grow up and understand that there is something in Star Wars that is named after one of her nonsense words from when she was a little baby. But every time you hear the word Camtono, that's where they got it. Is from this little kid. And because it's an ice cream maker, obviously. But yeah. So that's a little aside. Back to the to strong female characters or whatever. I think one of the things that is going to help the Mandalorian and everything like that for everything, whether you're representation and all of these social ideas as well, is that there is, as far as Star Wars goes, a very low ratio of human characters. So many of the people walking around here now are just aliens. We just got full on aliens, which of course is a budgetary thing. They can now do it. They're only doing like 8 episodes. They've got Disney money. All kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you had the Quarren on the episode with the heiress. Just had tons of Quarren everywhere, and Mount Calamari. So that's all.
And
really.
it don't feel out of place.
Yeah.
That's what I like.
And
is
they-
it doesn't
they don't
feel like
feel
just
shoehorned
suits.
in.
It feels like, yeah, of course they're there.
Well, right, yeah, and I think that was the feeling that they were trying to go for in like that cantina, right? But they didn't have any money. The guy just rolls up and says, "Here's a whole bunch of masks. All right,
Yep.
throw them on, guys." And hence you get a werewolf and a devil sitting in the cantina. It's like, okay. And so they've created 2 races. A werewolf race and a devil race.
The devil race are Deveronians. They're women
Because
on
of course they are.
It's weird. I only know that again because of the comics. Like I knew the comics really well.
Quinlan Voss fan over here. She
Hmm.
she knew all of that before I did.
And so they've created. Let me see here. Yes, and Clancy Brown actually portrayed a good
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mandalorian on
Yeah.
the last season.
Yep.
We're always talking about Mandalorian, it seems now, but it does now bring in. We finally have lightsabers that have now come back into the universe, so people are now, thinking about lightsabers.
I like that. Something I will touch on with that, it's a discussion I've been really looking forward to having, is I'm glad they didn't continue in the live action aspect. They continued on with the latest sequels trend. It doesn't have to be over the top, jumpy, CG movement. It felt more grounded rather than let's go as fast as we can with everything. And I appreciated that use with lightsaber movement. Not everything was that I have to do spins and flips for everything like in the prequels.
Without going too far into the spoiler section.
Yeah, I'm not going spoiler. Just talking of, if we mention lightsabers,
Yeah,
I'm not
true.
talking
It's
about
true.
what they're doing.
It's true.
But that was something that I was kind of breathing in, was how much I appreciated the choreography in this episode on all sides. It was just really well done to me without being too much.
There was a lot that was in this episode that is, I forget the term for it, but it's that if you show a pistol in the beginning, you have to use it by
the gun,
end.
yeah.
Yeah, if you do that. They did a lot of that in this episode, and it played out really well from beginning to end. So if you're watching and you haven't seen it, go watch it.
Yeah, exactly. We were more talking about the when there's a lot that goes in that goes into the stuff now, and all of that. But yes, so for Anna, I do recommend you go watch watch the Night Sisters trilogy. That there you go. Watch the Night Sisters, that whole storyline.
I like the old school Night Sisters. Like I dressed as a witch of Dathomir for an event, and everyone thought I was some like druid Sith, and I'm like trying to explain what the witches of Dathomir are. I even had a little Rancor thing on my shoulder. Because again, my mom used to read me the novels, and those were my bedtime stories. So I'm having to get out that and let myself just look at the new stuff, because I got so attached to that imagery. I have to let myself enjoy it. I promise I will go watch Clone Wars.
Well, that is the canon depiction now, right? And they've mentioned all of that stuff in other material, so it's already established.
Yeah.
So, you gotta do it. The Night Sisters trilogy, or or series or arc or whatever, is one of the most popular ones out there.
And since I'm a good fan, I need to watch it anyway. So.
And it's funny. See, here's the thing. I know fandoms get a lot of grief about being toxic or what have you, or whatever. I don't actually believe that. It's a small, tiny number of people.
Yeah.
They're just loud.
Who like to do that kind of stuff. And I think in a lot of cases we've actually found it out to be one person, like just like one guy with a whole bunch of different troll accounts, and they can create the illusion of this or whatever. Because if those people and fans were that out there, that Night Sisters episodes, that would have set them off. They would have gone completely nuts, because you essentially have a whole race of females who has subjugated a tribe of males and then use them as their zombie soldiers, right? So
See, I know
obviously
the story.
they're not paying. The fans are not being
I'll let you read it.
toxic or whatever, in that sense, because yes, that would have been something that they would have gone nuts over, I think.
There's a really good question in the comments. Do you want to read it?
Yeah. Question is, what is the background of the Dark Saber? Where did it come from? Who does it belong to? No spoilers, just driving me nuts. So I did want to touch on that, and you and I can kind of double up on this one. The Dark Saber was created by the only Mandalorian Jedi. And when he created it, he became the leader of the Mandalorians, essentially. And as it got passed down through the generations, through the centuries and everything, it was essentially that sign of leadership. And if you watch through, if you watch through Clone Wars, you watch through Rebels, it gets introduced in Clone Wars. It has a good arc in Rebels as well before showing up in The Mandalorian. So me, at the end of Mandalorian season 1, seeing the Dark Saber, oh, and then of course, when Bo-Katan's introduced in season 2, and it's been a couple weeks, so not so spoilery. She asks for it. Where is it? Where's this? That's where it's from, because it belongs to her. Technically, it belongs to the Grand Moff right now, since he's in possession of it, but she's the one looking for it.
Anything you want to add?
Did I miss anything?
Well, the Dark Saber was something that was created in the Clone Wars, when they introduced Death Watch,
Right.
and Pre Vizsla, and his ancestor was supposed to be the one whose saber that was, and then they stole it from the Jedi later or whatever. It becomes kind of like this symbol of Mandalorian rule at least for the Death Watch in Clone Wars, which are the Mandalorians who are this. So if people are not watching the Clone Wars, this is going to be a little thing. Let me back it up a little bit. Okay. So Mandalorian culture, as it is established in the Clone Wars, consists of essentially two kind of factions. You've got a pacifist faction who have given up war and fighting, and you have a kind of militant faction represented by the Death Watch. It's the Death Watch who are wearing the Boba Fett armor and stuff like that in the Clone Wars at the outset. Death Watch then is led by a guy named Pre Vizsla, who wields the Dark Saber, voiced by Jon Favreau, who is now the showrunner for Mandalorian, and voiced the heavy trooper in the first season.
Big boy.
And that trooper's last name is Vizsla. So it's a continuation of that. That's another little Easter egg for people who didn't necessarily watch Clone Wars. So there's there are remnants of Death Watch in there. When he flashes back to being rescued, they have a Death Watch symbol on their pauldron. And so when it's revealed in this season and they say, oh, he's one of them, and they say the Children of the Watch, they mean Death Watch, and obviously they mean children who were brought into the Mandalorian creed without being Mandalorian, because Death Watch was the one who was able to do that, whereas Mandalorian Culture was closed. It was just people from Mandalore. If I remember correctly, with Duchess Satine and stuff like that. So now Bo-Katan, who shows up in The Mandalorian as well, is the younger sister of Duchess Satine, who was the leader during the Clone Wars. The Dark Saber is pretty much just in the hands of Death Watch for most of the time, until Darth Maul takes over Death Watch, takes the Dark Saber from Pre Vizsla, kills him, and Satine, and that goes in there. Now then it shows up again in Rebels, with a character of Sabine Wren, and she ends up giving it to Bo-Katan at the end. So by the end of Rebels, Bo-Katan has it. So we show up here, and now Moff Gideon has it. We're like, well, okay, parts of the story are missing. So we have a story that we can tell. Speaking of stories like that, and sort of tangential, but we're still kind of going off that theme. The thoughts about the Obi-Wan series coming up.
I don't really have any thoughts. I know nothing about it.
Well, it's supposed to take place with his years on Tatooine.
I would be
So we
interested
get to see how he goes from being Ewan McGregor to to Alec Guinness.
right?
20 years. I'm excited just because Star Wars, please give it to me. That's pretty much where I sit. I don't know a lot about it, but with Ewan McGregor being on board, I am excited for it.
Yeah. Yes. And again, because we're talking about this, it's lightsaber oriented, so we can get a little bit more
Yeah.
lightsaber kind of stuff. However, I'm going to say this: we're seeing a lot more kind of conventional melee weapons, not just blasters, spears and axes and knives and that kind of thing. So that's going to be cool too, that we can interrupt it there. So maybe we can end on that note and see how this is all going to kind of affect what we do.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. My internet connection is unstable. All right. But yeah, so we've got a lot of possibilities to explore, right? We have the looming specter of Terras Kasi, right, which is Mandalorian martial art, which we are starting to get some information on, at least visually. We've got all of these kind of hell. We've got Gamorrean style, turn that into a sport. Right? Gamorrean dueling.
Yeah.
That whole boxing ring with the vibro axes was very exciting, even with the brief shots that they showed and the angles and everything.
Actually getting to see them in action doing stuff.
Instead of just waddling around or getting eaten.
Well, those inflatable samurai suits that people
Yes.
get,
big
or sumo wrestler suits. They bump into each other. We get a couple of those. We paint them green. And we get a bunch of LARP weapons, and voila.
I'm here for this.
First suit to pop loses.
I'm here for this.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely.
Okay, so we've already discussed this, so this is going to be just me wanting to hear what he has to say. Towards the end of the episode, that name drop that was given, what was your reaction? spoiler-free mentioning of it, but what was your reaction to that one name being said? Mine was a very loud squeal. So
Still ringing.
Well, oh, I mean, just, you know, okay. And it makes sense if you've watched Rebels, you know, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. So, we can't, yeah, no, we're dropping that one right now. You can't do that
Okay.
without spoiling.
That's fair. I just wanted to know what the initial reaction was, just because I was curious.
Yes, yeah. So yes, but then you've got possible lightsaber stuff happening in the Obi-Wan series. You got obviously we got lightsaber stuff happening on Mandalorian now. We've got other martial art, you know, so now we can start getting into, you know, maybe some barehanded stuff, and we have it is now officially canon that Beskar resists lightsabers. So now we have a solid solid thing here, so we can start incorporating some of that kind of stuff too.
So do you think it's replacing Cortosis weave then as the go-to for the lightsaber resistant material? They just decided to kind of condense that into this one thing?
No, the Beskar has always been a thing.
No, I mean as in the front and center for being used. Not that it's not always been a thing, but it just makes it easier to present this one thing rather than several different elements.
Legends was really heavy with Cortosis being the anti-lightsaber substance.
That's what I knew.
Well, I mean, they haven't mentioned Cortosis, so
right.
I mean, did they mention it in Clone Wars? I want to say, I don't know.
Google Warriors will be out tonight.
Yeah, I don't think it. You know, I just think it's just, you know, there's no relevance to Cortosis weave.
Yeah.
You know, Mandalorians use Beskar, so
I just think it's not a bad thing. I like the continuation of using this material and seeing the various ways it's being utilized, that they broke it down and took it and made other things. I find it to be an interesting change from what I'm used to seeing. It's a good thing.
I'm really excited that they've taken something that was, it almost felt at the time it was like a one-off antagonist race in Knights of the Old Republic, back when it first came out with the Mandalorians. Now they're all dying out, and of course this is all set thousands of years before the Battle of Yavin, and they've made it into such a staple of Star Wars in a positive way, instead of it just being, nope, these are the bad guys and they're no longer with us. I think that's been a very interesting change of direction as far as creation of a race that was supposed to go away.
Yeah, so the Mandalorians too originally weren't really anything. The only thing he said is that Boba Fett wore Mandalorian armor. And hey, George, what's a Mandalorian? I don't know. Anyway, we do have a comment here. Jeff asks, says, Terrace Kasi was originally inspired by Sealat, the author Steve Perry. Yes. So in some of the novels and stuff like that, and the descriptions of it, yes, the guy specifically used Sealat. However, the guy who is doing the martial arts for doubling for Din Djarin is using mostly capoeira.
Wow.
Okay.
Hence the you know the jumping around and you know that kind of thing. So is that going to create, you know, what does that open things up? and it'll be interesting to see what what they do with it, because obviously it's not really presenting as any one thing, which is good.
Yeah.
But I want to know what Cara Dune fights with too. So anyway,
If
but yeah,
that's like
so
the
that's stuff
hand,
that
that's the
we
bubble.
can get into. Definitely. Now we can get into some barehanded stuff. We can get into, you know, how would you fight somebody with a lightsaber? And you didn't have one. All kinds of stuff. But yes, well, the conceit being that that's not an option.
Just gone. Just leave.
Right. So, all right. So anyway, so yes. So again, we sort of talked about the Mandalorian quite a lot here this time. But hey, we've got things to be thankful for in that. We've got other things that are coming up that are, we didn't have Celebration, I know, this year. A lot of people are bummed out at that. I never got my ticket because they sold out like in a day.
Oh wow.
No, nothing for me. But all of that. So who knows when all of our Star Wars stuff is going to be coming back up. So in that spirit, we will be revamping a lot of our videos once I start getting into a place where I can start, concentrating and stuff. Had a accident with my computer a while ago. Hence why everything on the channel has kind of stopped. I had to get a new computer. Got to repopulate it with everything that I have. So, all right. So that's what I got. You guys got anything, parting words for our audience? Anything here that we've got interesting?
Honestly, please join us in being interactive on the pages and stuff like that. We love to see people joining in and trying out the different things. Questions are always welcome for whatever it is we're doing. But Chad, I know you've had quite the 2020 year.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of wanting to ask you on this live stream of being thankful for stuff, what's something that you can walk away from thankful despite it being a very 2020 year?
Oh, well, I mean, obviously this, everybody watching, everybody following us on the internet, you guys, our students, we've got lots of great students and everything like that. This has, been powering us through, really, with all the disasters that have been happening behind the scenes, right? We at least have this to come back to. So, I try not to when I'm in the thick of these types of things. I try not to think like that because I try to remain on course and not, not rubberneck it. Yeah, thanks for asking. Thanks for doing that, because that's not something I would necessarily volunteer, as it is not my way. But anyway, yeah. So there's a lot of there's stuff here. There's obviously a community. We've got people that we can talk to. We have a shared interest. We have many shared interests as we're kind of going here, and we're working for a common goal. And that's what you kind of look for in life. So I am pleased. So
That's good. Good. It's been a good conversation today. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Didn't know who was going to show today. We didn't know what we were going to talk about, and we just figured. Well, I always just figure we're never going to be at a loss for words here, so we'll let the camera go. And there, hopefully, we didn't bore anybody with all our there, but we Mandalorian is pretty cool. So go watch that. We'll probably have another Mandalorian themed show after the series ends, and we'll go over the entire
Good idea.
thing. So in what 3-4 weeks, 3 weeks, 3 weeks, we'll probably try another one or whatever. But then again, that's right around Christmas and New Year's, so we got to figure out all that kind of stuff. Anyway, thank you for everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Deso and Anna, for checking in with us. Good talking with you all. Thanks to everybody on the chat. That was we had some interesting things brought up. So thank you. Other than that, we will take leave of the evening. So I will say to you all, patience, practice, perseverance, and happy sabering.